This is Mary for Creation TV, and I'm with Brannon Braga, executive producer of Star Trek Voyager, as well as Enterprise, and now 24. So were you surprised that people were rather nice to you out there?
Yes.
Are you always expecting them to, like, you know?
Well, they were extra nice this time. I mean, people really went out of their way to be supportive of the work I'd done in Star Trek, more so than ever. It was touching.
Yeah.
It really was touching and much appreciated. You know, I've always enjoyed coming to these things and meeting the fans. You know, I mean, the show is nothing without them, and wouldn't exist without them.
Right, right. You know, people tend to forget that you wrote First Contact and a lot of great episodes. Is it kind of a weird situation to be in where people constantly focus on your fumbles versus the triumphs?
Yeah, I mean, I started back on Next Generation, and my episodes, I think, were pretty popular. But you'll find people on the internet. I've read a blog
Calling for the heads of Brannon Braga and Rick Berman.
Literally saying, you know, if you really go back and look at Brannon Braga's episodes, they're really not that good. I mean, like going back and taking the ones I thought were good. There's some angry people out there. I don't want.
Well, last time we talked about a great episode called Human Error, about 7 of 9, and
Yes, you're the 7 of 9.
I am. I'm a fanatic. You know, she's obviously a favorite character of many people,
Yes.
and so's Trip. So, what is it about these characters that you wanted to kill them off?
Well, I didn't kill anyone. Oh, and
You didn't, but
Human Error, did we talk?
we
about
talked
killing
about how that
7
was
of 9?
sort
I
of
wanted to kill
leading
them.
up to
Yeah.
you.
Well, the whole point in doing Human Error was to set up that Seven could never assimilate back into humanity, and was really a tragic figure.
Right.
And knowing that she would give her life, sacrifice her life to get the crew home, that was not done, and I fought for it and was overruled. In terms of Trip, similar instinct, and maybe that's why I did Trip, because I was not permitted to do 7. I wanted that sacrifice, you know. And I guess it's never really been done as well as Spock and Wrath of Khan. It certainly didn't work all that well when Trip did it, and I think it just, despite our best intentions.
Now, what is it about Star Trek that it seems like you get to set the reset button and everything goes back to normal? You know, whether it's a timeline issue and somebody really doesn't die.
I always take issue with that.
It's going to be the silliest interview ever.
The reset button, I think, is often, when you're doing a time travel story, it's kind of inherent in the premise that things might restore to normal. You know, people like Year of Hell. That was a time travel story, and the whole thing took place over the course of a year. I don't think you can then go back or just let it go. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like a movie. It needed an ending. It's just not like, okay, we kill the bad guys and now we're all screwed up and people are dead and let's move on. I don't think that would have been satisfying. That's an episode, a two-parter people often point to as having the reset button, but that was part of the premise.
So you said, okay, let's bring a Borg on the ship. Let's make her a babe. But how do you do that without immediately getting that negative response of like, oh, this is just for ratings, this is just for sex?
You don't. And you welcome the controversy because it gets you free publicity, and that's exactly what happened.
But then don't you have to work your butt off to make her a smart character?
We were very, very confident that we had written a good character and that it helped the show, and we were very, very confident in the actress. Jerry Ryan was so good, we knew it. So we just weathered some of the negative backlash, knowing once this airs, people will see. This is a complex character, well played. And I, you know, there are still people who don't like the character, but I think most people do.
Do you think that you tried to repeat that magic with T'Pol to a certain extent? Sort of like the Spock and Kirk thing and the Data and Picard?
Well, we did. Yeah.
You think it worked? A lot of people were saying that she came off as mean yesterday.
She's mean. I mean, the Vulcans were kind of not mean, but cold.
I like the direction you went with the Vulcans, though, at that time. Yeah. Indifferent.
Was T'Pol T'Pol was a very different character than 7 of 9. Was she as successful? Did we repeat the magic? Probably not.
It's a hard thing to do.
It's a hard thing to do.
Do you think that you succeeded in revamping Star Trek with Enterprise despite the fact that it was canceled?
Well, it was canceled after 4 years. It wasn't canceled after 4 episodes.
Right.
We had 99 episodes, so it was a successful show in that regard. It just didn't run 7 years like all the, people got used to, oh, Star Trek runs 7 years. Says who?
Right.
It was canceled prematurely, however. We had a lot of stuff we wanted to do. Were we successful in revamping the franchise from a creative standpoint? In many regards, I said, what am I going to say? I love that show, and I love the characters, so I think yes. However, in the long run, no.
Right.
People obviously didn't respond to it in the way we hoped.
Now, you talked a little bit on your panel about the oversaturation of Star Trek at the time. Is that something you still stand by?
Well,
part of the reasoning?
I've been thinking about that comment since I got off the stage, and I kind of regret it because I'm not sure I'm right. On the one hand, you never want to overexpose anything,
Right.
and it's a fear. I mean, I'm sure even the people at CBS wonder, if, dare we put a fourth CSI on?
Right.
I bet they're saying no. Because they don't want to destroy their franchise. Do I think there was too much Star Trek? My honest feeling is yes. However, it kept me employed, so why am I complaining?
Right, right. As a producer of 24, do you feel like you have as much of a following that, sort of like a fanboy following that determines how the direction of the show is going to be shaped? Because I know with Star Trek, there's like immediate fan response, and there's this history and canon that you have to be loyal to. Yeah. With 24, do you feel like you have more freedom since it isn't something that's been on for 40 years?
No. Star Trek is very similar to, 24 is very similar to Star Trek in that it has a huge following internationally. The work that I've done for 24 has yet to air. And any episodes that I've written have yet to air.
So we shall see.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I am expecting, I've already seen one posting on a Trek site saying Braga to ruin 24. They're so mean.
Be nice, people.
But it's a good. It's the season's, I think, great.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the response is. But there is a similar kind of fan.
Yeah. I thought that was really great on stage. How you said you kind of think it was a mistake with the direction of the finale of Enterprise. I know the cast has called it appalling. I know Jolene has said that. How much pressure did you feel to tie it into Next Gen and to tie it in, as a wrap-up for the entire franchise versus just that one series?
No pressure. It actually was a personal decision. I think I don't want to even lay any of the blame at Rick's doorstep. I think it was my idea. And there's no pressure. I thought it would be interesting and nice. But clearly no one else agreed. No one else agreed. I was alone in that assessment. So.
Right. Well, in hindsight, though, I think people will look at it differently. You think?
No.
No? People are still going to harbor bad feelings about that?
I think so. I think Jolene, who's pretty outspoken, is maybe overreacting a bit. She had some very, very nice things in that episode to do. But no, I don't think it's ever going to be a beloved episode.
Okay, well, thank you so much for talking with us.
Okay, you're welcome.